Today's date feels like a blockbuster dinner. Nick's inviting Ella to enjoy it, but she has to transform from couch potato to superhero in her snug outfit to take on to avoid distractions. Nick left his phone behind, fully focused on the date. Next, they headed to the Trans Francis restaurant, where a feast awaited. Ella accidentally spotted a piano in the corner and eagerly encouraged Nick. "Come on, show me what you've got." But Nick hesitated like a deer in headlights, fearing a public performance flop. But seeing Ella's sparkling eyes full of anticipation, her heart melted. Nick took a deep breath and trudged to the piano, destined to be tonight's dazzling highlight. This was the deeply hidden anthem in Ella's heart, which she had barely mentioned once. Yet, to her amazement, Nick remembered it as if it were a cherished treasure. Ella was instantly stunned, while Nick bravely confronted his fears for her, using the song to convey the blossoming romantic feelings between them. At this moment, Nick was nothing short of a superstar in my heart, simply too awesome to describe. It felt like a wonderful adventure, and Ella's heart was completely conquered. But then, the happy bubble burst suddenly when Nick's classmate intruded, gushing about her exciting move to Princeton. Meanwhile, Ella was left in the cold, watching the two chat effortlessly while she awkwardly smiled to herself. Faced with a formidable opponent, Ella felt like a mere spectator, so she cheered silently in her heart. The girl seized the moment, boasting about Princeton parties and inviting Nick. Ella countered coolly. In the end, she had to exit stage left, as her trap was expertly dismantled by Ella. After the girl left, the two began to hone in on romantic topics, making it feel like a mini theatre scene. Nick vowed to spend weekend with Ella, but she knew it was playing with fire. Upon hearing Ella's response, Nick's expression instantly turned deeply perplexed, his brows furrowed, almost silently inquiring, "What did I do wrong to cause this outcome?" Heartbroken, Nick turned to leave, forcing Ella to chase after him, creating a tense atmosphere in the car. Overwhelmed, she took to escape, then went alone to the party, a true hardcore party animal. Ella, however, felt a whirlwind of emotions, struggling inside, whispering to herself, "Nick needs this social space." As time passed, Ella could no longer ignore her growing feelings, like new sprouts wildly sprouting. She frantically searched for Nick, but couldn't find him any. However, after pushing through door after door with no sight of Nick, she finally spotted a locked door and thought, "He must be in there. Time to make a run for it." Ella rushed in, confusing all with her explanation, while Nick needed meds on time. Drinking just added hurdles. Ella dragged Nick to the toilet, trying to sober her up, but the host burst in like a god. The host shouted at Ella, "You're overaged here. Get out." Ella stood there bewildered, resembling a cop. The two exchanged bobs, seemingly unafraid of each other, and at that moment, Nick woke up amidst the chaos, declaring, "I don't want to be a problem child." On the way home, Ella stared out of the window, and at that moment, Nick suddenly confessed, "I just want you to know, I will never hurt you." A line that immediately melted hearts. Soon, Nick confidently stated he was ready, while Ella's heart raced with anxiety. "I love you." This confession was like a thunderbolt, and she realized Nick had genuinely fallen for her, striking her heart instantly. Deep down, she thought that if the truth came out, Nick would get hurt, and tonight felt impossibly long. After a night of contemplation, Ella decided to abandon the mission, but fate had other tricks in store. Nick caused a stir. The teacher-student romance was hot. She seriously asked her parents to board the car, with something unusual up. When asked, she excitedly said she'd take her girlfriend for a ride. Her parents congratulated her, but secretly strategized. But who'd have thought the next was a bombshell? Nick solemnly said the long-distance love hindered them, so foregoed Princeton. The room fell into silence, as if the air froze. This was Princeton, a dreamscape for many, and yet their son was willing to toss it for love. However, the parents said little and just told Nick to practice in the garage. Once she left, they quickly dialed Ella. They reached a consensus. Mission continues with tweaks. Let Ella help Nick get into Princeton. Nick's heart plunged into an abyss of despair as she realized the person she had trusted had been deceiving her all this time, making her feel utterly and completely foolish. Her heart felt grey, with waves of anger and helplessness boiling inside, culminating in a fierce resolve to act. She decided to invite Ella without her parents knowing. The moment Ella entered, her father looked surprised. Nick stood by with sarcastic remarks, each word as sharp as a blade, yet the situation was far from straightforward. Ella made an excuse to step away for a phone call, but in reality, she was secretly reaching out to a friend to devise a plan to vandalize her car. She returned home with a sense of satisfaction, calmly watching Nick silently retreat to the bedroom, yet deep inside, the alarms of danger were quietly sounding. Filled with concern, Ella followed inside, but Nick gave her the final chance, and their moment together shone like a shooting star across the night sky. After everything was settled, Nick solemnly confessed to Ella, "I have found out all the truth, and unfortunately, I even wrecked your car." At that very moment, Nick was deeply immersed in his own complex emotions. Nick's eyes overflowed with profound disappointment and uncontrollable anger, forcing Ella into a helpless situation where she could only choose to silently leave. When she reached the seaside alone, her tears flowed incessantly, mingling with deep guilt and complete disillusionment. Suddenly, she realized she had been trying to guide Nick to grow, only to become lost in the purity of their relationship. Yet behind this growth was a betrayal of her own desire for sincerity.